Hey everybody, and welcome to Tatter-a-Fact here at Girls Inc. I am Teryn Darling, and today my guest is all the way from Australia. I did an Instagram live with her a few weeks ago, and I wanted her on the podcast because I wanted to get a little bit deeper into conversation with her. She is a PMU artist. She's an inventor. I think she's pretty amazing, and I'm really glad to have her here today. So let's welcome Katri Pagliaro, the inventor of the Pendulum. Hi, Katri.
Hi, Teryn. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be on your podcast. It is a dream come true. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad to have you too. It's really super early there, so you had to get up and yeah.
Yeah, have to get up early.
I know. Are you a morning person?
I'm not, but as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I have learned to be. If I get up early, I've learned that on the days that I get up at 5, I have a solid 4 hours before the day kicks in, before anybody bothers me with anything. I can get a lot of work in.
Oh my God. If I get up at 5, I'm in a bad mood. All day. Yeah. It's I'm not a morning person. My Olivia over here is not a morning person. I know at all. How lucky are you, Olivia? We're in it working for, me, who's not a morning person. We are not morning people at all. No.
Not normally for me too, but I've learned to be.
Yeah.
Just for work.
Yeah.
On the weekend, I'm sleeping in. Last Sunday, I slept in until 10.
There you go. I love that. My puppies won't let me quite sleep till 10, but that's okay. So, Katri, when I had you on Instagram a few weeks ago, your sharpener, the Pendulum, which sharpens China markers, they were on pre-order on the Girls Inc. store. They were in pre-order mode. So the orders were coming in. And then that was super successful. And then we shipped all the pendulums out to all the artists that bought them during the pre-order. And we've been getting feedback, and I know you're nervous to hear this. We're always nervous to hear feedback on our products, but all the feedback has been 100% positive.
That's amazing.
Positive. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes.
What a blessing. Yeah,
how does that make you feel?
Yeah, great. I mean, look, I expected it because I have put my heart and soul into this product. I've spent 3.5 years. I think it was actually 4 years until it was for sale. So yeah, I put my heart and soul into it, and I tested this like you wouldn't believe, and had people test it for me. So I was really positive about the product before I put it out. So it's to be expected, but it's still so cool to get the feedback back. I just love that it's out there now helping people. It's out there helping others, and that's what I intended it to do.
It is. It is. And for those who maybe don't know what we're talking about, maybe they didn't catch the live, maybe they haven't come across it yet, right? Or they have, they've seen a post or something on Instagram, but they're not really sure what it is because, people scroll like this now, really. I think you have about 3 seconds to catch someone's attention is what I hear. It is, it's actually a tool or a product, if you will, that did not exist. It did not exist. You invented a tool that did not exist to sharpen with great precision China markers. So there was no longer a need for the razor blade.
Yeah, it sharpens our pencils. I call them PMU pencils, but it sharpens our PMU pencils into the flat wedge shape.
Yes. Yes, which a lot of artists are using. Yeah, you can see it right there. Yeah.
And super sharp, like super sharp.
Super sharp.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. I have one right here. You sent me one. So when you reached out to me,
it was before I had it for sale. I reached out to you probably 6 months before I had it for sale.
Yeah. Yes.
Done.
Yes. And we did a little bit of emailing back and forth. I get a lot of emails, and just two this week. One just yesterday. On products. You know, they want me to get involved in products or try their products out or put them on the store, you know, whatnot. And I don't get involved with like that many. It's impossible to anyway. But with yours, I was instantly intrigued. Not sure how it worked, or, you know, not sure if I would put it on this, you know, not sure, but intrigued. It caught my attention, Katri, because I had never seen anything like it. I liked how it looked really, it's sleek and sharp looking. So I'm really visual. So I like things that look sharp and sleek. So I thought it was a good looking product. And what I liked most about it is it solved a problem. And I like things that solve a problem. Yeah. Now, this problem, some artists would say, well, it's not a problem for me. There's some artists that enjoy the razor blade. Yeah. It's almost like an art form, and they're super quick and, you know, and graceful. There's a few out there. Very graceful with it. They never nick a finger. You know, they could probably be over here having a conversation with their client and sharpen that pencil with that razor blade. But then
that's what I struggled with, carrying on the conversation. She could be telling me something like super important, and I just miss the whole thing because I'm there trying to like concentrate.
You cut right, and you're like, hang on, I gotta concentrate. We're talking for a minute, right?
She said something awesome, like, I just, you know, since I saw you last, I had a baby. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. And then go back to her. So have you thought of having kids?
Yeah, she didn't hear what they said, right? I'm like that when I mix pigments, when I'm mixing, because I gotta pay attention. How much of this and how much of that, and I'm mixing. So when I'm
you're counting the drops.
Yeah. So when I'm mixing, it's like my client, I got to just a minute. I'm mixing, and I got to pay attention. Then I got to write down my mixing ratio. So kind of the same way sharpening the pencils to get them in that perfect wedge without cutting your fingers off. But anyway, this does solve a problem for thousands and thousands of artists, because I'm seeing the comments, right? Pendulum's been out there now. You've been selling them. We shipped them out. Our customers are using them. And the comments have been overwhelmingly just fantastic. I mean, it really did solve a problem. You solved a problem. You didn't just take a product and build off it and make it better, or make some changes to make it a little different. You, Katri, invented this from nothingness, from scratch. Yeah. So my question to you is, how did this idea like pop in your mind? Did you cut your finger one day, or did you how did you think, okay, this is going to be the first product I come up with?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get into product development. And then as a permanent makeup artist, I would just go to work every day. And that was the mindset I was in. Just looking at what I was doing from the time I showed up in my studio to the time I left, just looking at what I was struggling with that other artists would be struggling with, or what was taking me time, or what was just like causing me a bit of anxiety or a bit of stress throughout my day. And it was just kind of really obvious that this was the main thing that was taking time when it's one of the tasks of the day that shouldn't take so much time and takes so much out of me.
Right.
The simple process of sharpening my pencils. I wanted that to be my actual, my pre-drawing, like the mapping and the pigment selection and working in the skin. Like that should be my main kind of focus and taking up my energy for the day. So yeah, it was just so obvious that this was such a big problem. I was seeing it everywhere, all over the internet and the Facebook groups, and just talking to my friends in the industry. This was the thing that I thought really needed to be solved.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
some help with it.
if artists coming into the industry, new artists, most of them don't know how to sharpen their pencils, right? Their China markers.
Their trainers saving them like an hour's worth of teaching during their training days.
Yeah.
Saving them an hour of teaching students how to do it.
Yeah. You see a lot of videos or on the Facebook groups, a lot of new artists, they're just struggling using the razor blade and sharpening their pencils. So it really,
if you don't get it sharp, you don't have good pre-draws, and then your art can't be great.
Right. So that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, have you taken time? Because I'm sure it's been, especially since they launched, it's probably been like crazy. Everything's moving fast now, right? Have you had time to sit back and kind of just breathe in, like, wow? Because this was 4 years in the making for you, which we'll get into in a minute, but it's launched. Now your baby's launched, something you spent 4 years on. It's out there, right? Yeah. Other artists all over the world are using it. It's successful. People are loving it. The comments are coming in. Have you sat back and able to just take a minute and breathe in, like, wow, like I did it. I invented something from nothing. And because not many people, like, I mean, that's like a Thomas Edison thing with the light bulb. I mean, not many people invent something from nothing. Do you know what I mean? Especially like in our industry, they might take a product and make it better, but how many people in our industry have just invented something that did not exist from scratch?
I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to have been able to invent something like this.
Yeah.
Just the opportunity for it. It's been such a great journey. I've learned so much about the process, so much about myself. It's a real emotional roller coaster. And I feel I haven't really sat back and done that, Teryn, because I feel like a whole nother part of the journey has started now.
It's just starting, right? Because now it's been yours for 4 years. It's been your own little world with it, right? You've been nurturing it and evolving it and growing it and tending to it, right?
And it's almost a safe space. Like it's really cozy and safe when you
and then you release it. Yeah. And when you release it,
becomes everybody else's product. It's not just yours anymore.
Right. Exactly. Now it's the industry's product. It's thousands of artists, thousands and thousands and thousands of artists all over the world. It's their product now sitting in their room.
It's kind of like our artwork, right? Like we do a beautiful set of powder brows and that's your work while you're working on it. It's your art, but then that client walks out the door and takes it away and it becomes theirs.
Yeah. And there's something so nerve-wracking about it and something that gives you like so much anxiety, but something so beautiful and satisfying at the same time. Like, are you feeling like a plethora of like emotions, like even contradicting emotions? Like I know I feel when I release like my OMG brow pigments, like anxiety, confidence, excitement, little dread, just all these conflicting things.
It's a real emotional roller coaster.
It's emotional roller coaster, right? Yeah. So,
got to be strong.
Yeah, you gotta, for sure. Well, what I would say to you is, that I've gotten to know you a little bit. I would say a lot. We've had lots of conversation, right? Over the pendulum, and we've talked about some deep personal stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say to you is that you're really brave. You're really brave, and because it takes a lot of courage, Katri, and it takes a lot of strength, and you have to have a deep belief in yourself to keep moving forward. Because I'm sure in those 4 years you had setbacks, some struggles, fears, right? Things that tested your confidence, maybe that tested your belief in yourself. But for this pendulum to be sitting, for it to be in my hand today, you worked through all that. You kept moving through all that. You didn't let any of that stop you. And that takes a badass. So to me, you're one badass chick.
Thank
to
you.
Keep going and walk through all that, because it's not easy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the 4 years developing this, and I might interject a little bit to kind of get a little more detail on the fears, the struggles, and whatnot.
Yeah, sure. So once I kind of knew that this is a product I had to make, I had to find an inventor, an engineer that was going to help me kind of figure out exactly how this was going to work.
Is that the first thing you did? Like once you decided, okay, I got this idea, like no more razor blades. I gotta invent a tool that quickly and easily sharpens the wedge.
Quick. Yeah.
Did you tell your husband? Or did you go? You told your brother. You told your brother.
Yeah, because we'd been thinking about products and things like that, like product development. And I told him I wanted to make something for my industry. And so we've just been chatting about it. So when I got the idea, I got straight onto the phone to him. I was so excited. I was really excited. I think that's the best part of the whole process, like trying to, coming up with it. And then I was just so excited to get started. So straight away I got onto, finding someone who can help me bring it to life. And we had I had a few ideas on how we could make it work.
Mm-hmm.
How it would up.
Did you have sketches or?
I sketched some ideas out.
Okay.
He sketched some ideas out. We had about 12, about a dozen sketches, and we started going through them just with whatever materials we could find, like off the shelf. And he had a 3D printer, and we just started putting each kind of design together and testing it out until we found the proof of concept. And that was, this mechanism like we have now in the pendulum. So that was, the first step. And then moving on to another set of engineers and designers who are not only designing the product, just thinking about how it's going to work, but also making the tool, designing the tool that's going to be, all the little parts and the casing and everything there has to be a tool made for it. It has to be designed, has to be a tool made for it, because it didn't exist. It's not like a regular pencil sharpener where you can go to China and find hundreds of thousands of different shapes and
like design. Already existing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I had to
build it from scratch.
All my own design. Yeah. 100% from scratch. And also, they had to not only think of that, but then also how much is it going to cost to produce, and the labor. So everything had to be designed in a way that could be quickly and easily put together. It's a whole thing. But I think a lot of the fear started to come in when it started to be like prototype after prototype after prototype. And you're kind of like investing so much time and money until you even get to a point where you're like, oh yeah, this could be a product. So you've already like gone so deep into the process. And that's, I guess, why a lot of people who are in product development tell other people who want to get started into product development to not start with an invention.
Right.
Start with something a bit more simple, which I can definitely vouch for that now that I've done this. But I'm so glad I did. Like, I'm so glad that I saw it through.
100%. And did you at any time did you almost quit?
No, I'm not a quitter. I gotta see it through.
You got to see it
I
through.
feel my dreams are always bigger than my fears.
I like that. I like that. My dreams are always bigger than my fears. I like that. Yeah.
So no, I pushed through. I think when I was just about to make the investment for the mold, that's a very, very big investment. And once you make it, if you need to make any changes, you're talking big money to make those changes, and a lot of time. So that was very fearful moment, because it's like I've already spent so much time and invested so much to get to that point. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I've got to pay for the mold, and then there's no going back, no more tweaks. And then I have to pay for the actual units to actually get made. So that's like a whole other chunk. And I mean, you're in really deep then. And I think when you're starting out with invention, you can't really estimate what it is all going to cost, not just in financially, but emotionally. Your time is taking me away from my service-based business a lot, like especially.
I was going to ask you that if other areas of like your career, like, because you see clients, if this kind of took over a little bit and caused
definitely.
you to have to step back from seeing clients a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's a blessing that I had my business very successful, and it was able to fund me going through this process, and it afforded me the time. But then it did get to a point where, I couldn't keep up with my social media. Definitely.
Right.
And I think most artists listening to this would know that, you've got to keep your social media up. It's like a bit like a steam train. You've got to keep like shoveling in the coal for your business through social media. So yeah, I couldn't put the time into that. And it's kind of shifted now to putting the time into the social media for the product. So yeah, it's hard. Like, I think we all struggle in business, in entrepreneurship, to balance everything. And yeah, the struggle's real.
Yeah,
sure.
The struggles are real, but it's like, this sounds so cliche, but it's the struggles that I think that like build character, really, and build strength.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that to sound cliche, but it really is true. It's really, it's true. There is truth to that. Like, I'm sure you had some things that didn't work out in those 4 years that maybe you could consider like, well, that failed. I go through that when I'm developing a product. Well, that, I don't know if I say, that was a failure, but when I was,
you learn something.
You learn, or it didn't work the way you wanted it to do, or the way you wanted it to work, or, whatnot. So it wasn't it's not successful at this point, it's just not working. And then you got to go back and you go back. So it's the struggles, it's the fears, it's the things not working out, it's the challenges, it's all that stuff really builds character. And I think it's those things that really open your eyes to and expand the brain, expand your mind, because now you got to problem solve and you got to figure out why it's not working and how to get it to work on how you vision it working. So it really causes you to expand your creative mind, expand your thinking, look for opportunity and look for things that you weren't necessarily looking for or thought you would have to look for?
Yeah.
Do you know, do you resonate with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, so in the 4 years, okay, let me ask you this, Katri. Did you think it was going to take 4 years, or did you think that, okay, so let me ask you this and be honest. Okay. How long did you think it would take you to get on the market? Or did you think like, oh, I'll have this out in a year? Or were you like 2 years? You thought a year.
Yeah.
That's funny, right? Now, yeah.
Yeah, it's really laughable now. Look, to be honest, 2 years might have been doable. Like thinking about it, it could have been doable, but there is so much, like even the designers, the engineers helping me with this, like they're like, Katri, there are so many variables to this.
Yes.
Like every prototype just took, with every prototype, we realized there was something else that needed to be adjusted.
Right.
And it just kept going like that. And even they're like, oh, once we got this, it should be right. But then it would just keep snowballing like that.
Yeah. And it can get really frustrating, right? I've been in that position. It can get really frustrating. I, to relate to that, and I keep relating to, like my own G pigments that I just launched, because that's the latest thing that I launched. But my blonde shell, that color, blonde shell, do you know it was like 16?
Did you say that?
Edits. 16. Yeah. I thought Blanca was
when I heard you say that, I was like, oh, she must feel my pain.
Yeah. I didn't know if I was going to get a blonde that I was happy with. And you do feel like giving up because you get so frustrated. But I'm like you. I'm not a quitter. I knew, like in that 4 pigment box, I needed a deep, dark, warm blonde, slightly warm blonde. I needed it. I wanted it.
Like you couldn't have put it out 3 versions in. Or 6
No,
versions in.
no. It was coming out too thick. Then it was too watery. Then it was too orangey. It was too this. It dried too quick. And it was just because making a blonde is difficult. Because you're working with a lot of yellows, right? You're working with a lot of yellows. And iron oxide yellows, they absorb water. The molecules absorb water, which can make the pigment thicker. And then organic yellows can be too bright. So you need that hybrid of inorganic and organic yellows. So getting the percentages just right, so it's not thick, doesn't get thick as it sits. So I can really, really relate to you. When
and someone who hasn't gone through that, like they might think, oh, how hard can it be mixing up a color or just making a sharpener? Like surely it's not that. I'm sure you whipped it up in no time. It cost you $1. Like
yeah, right. So I've heard you say that this is not just a sharpener, right? So can you explain it? For those that look at this or see this sitting on the Girls Ink store or your site and they see a sharpener, it's not a sharpener. It's more than a sharpener.
Yeah.
I've heard you say that. So how is it more than a sharpener?
how is it more than a sharpener?
Yeah, how's it different than
a
regular sharpener? How is it different than a regular sharpener?
Well, I mean, it works completely different to a regular sharpener. The whole mechanics of it is completely different. And it didn't exist before. So the mechanics I had to, like we were saying earlier, I had to invent how that was going to happen. We had to trial it. Making something that doesn't exist, you can't just go to a big Chinese manufacturer who has thousands of different molds available for you to just use to make your product, that you can't just like change a color or put your logo on, like white label it. You take on the full responsibility of designing not only the product, but the mold, the tool, and taking into consideration, like from start to getting it into your client's hands, the whole process.
Yeah.
It's
it's complete. I mean, it's people call it a sharpener because it sharpens, but it's
Do you
not.
have
A
another name for it? Like when you're
well, I call it the pendulum. I call it the pendulum.
You just call it the pendulum.
Sharpening tool. Yeah, and sometimes I call it the sharpening tool because to me it is
The
more
sharpening tool. What about the
It's
shaver?
The shaver, yeah. It does shave.
Yeah, shaves it to that awesome the wedger.
Yeah.
The wedgie.
The wedgie. I knew that was next.
We could come up with some great names. We could have fun with marketing with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So how'd you come up with the pendulum? The name, the pendulum.
Well, we use the pendulum technique in permanent makeup, whether you're whipping back and forth in a pendulum or you're whipping one way in a pendulum, and the mechanism of this fans out like a pendulum. So
yeah, the way the mechanism on the inside moves, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like a pendulum. Yeah, so I like the name, and I think it's really great looking. I think yeah, it's great. I think one day, new artists coming in to the industry now, like next year, next 5 years, one day, what I'm trying to get to, one day, artists are not going to believe that we used to use a razor blade to sharpen our pencils. They're not going to believe it. They're just not going to believe it.
So cool. Yeah, that is so cool to think of. I feel so blessed to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Like a major change in the industry.
I think that's going to happen. I think that is going to happen, Katri. I really, really, really do. I think that it's going to be like, well, if you talk, I got godchildren, and one's 15, and I'll say, well, we didn't have phones, cell phones when I was your age. What? You didn't have no cell phones? How did you live? What did you do? I mean, they just don't understand. I think that's going to be the same thing. I think the pendulum is, it's already starting to replace the razor blade for hundreds and hundreds of artists. And eventually the pendulum is just going to be, in everybody's room. Yeah. And, we'll talk again in 5 years. And, I bet you if you tell them, back in the day, we used to use razor blades, to sharpen our pencils, they're going to be like, what? What do you mean you used razor blades?
Hard. Yeah, it was hard.
We're like, yeah, we really did.
We're cutting ourselves and getting frustrated.
Yeah.
We're just working with blunt pencils.
Yeah. Well, there was a time where there was no, saline products, manufactured saline products. I mean, I used to go into McDonald's and steal little packets of salt, like 20 years ago. Yeah, because there was no professionally manufactured saline products. So, right. And it worked, we used to put it in a bowl and put a little contact solution and muddle it up. And, that's what you use to remove lightened pigment. And now you couldn't even imagine using McDonald's packets of salt, right? I mean, come on. No. There's a lot of things we did back then, Katri, that 25 years ago, 20 years ago that we did that today, today's artists couldn't even imagine doing it that way. And I think you're going to be responsible for the people thinking the razor blade. Oh my God, that's barbaric. Who would use a razor blade?
That's so cool. Yeah.
Isn't that kind of cool to think about?
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, I'm so blessed to be a part of that. That's for sure. I love that it's out there. I've seen, beginners, how hard it is, particularly beginners. But then I have friends who have been in the industry for 10 years and are not good at sharpening their pencils and just want to remove that struggle from their day to day. And they are just so ecstatic to have this, them, and it just means so much. I was pretty good at sharpening my pencils, I think, apart from like it had to be perfect. It had to be perfect. So I did often, break the tip because I was trying to get it so sharp, so perfect, and it was taking me away from, giving that customer service to my client. But I was good at it. So when I was making this, I kind of did feel like I was making it for the beginner. But then I'm testing it. I was testing it every day. I booked out permanent makeup artists, so it got used a lot. And at first I'm thinking, yes, this is for, the beginner, the people who struggle, not really for people like me. But after, I think by the third day of testing out the first working prototype, at first I was kind of like, oh, just quickly give me back my blade. Like I had that urge because I'd been using it for 5 years constantly.
Right.
And I did have that urge to just quickly pick it up because it is a little bit of a learning curve with it, right? It's a learning curve, but there is a bit of a learning curve. But then I think it was the third day on that morning, I was like, I'm never going back to using that thing. I'm never going back to manually sharpening my blade. This is just so fast and easy. It just takes all the guesswork out.
Exactly. And I think it's human nature to want to go back to what's familiar and what you're good at rather than using something that maybe you're not so good at first. So let's talk about the learning curve. I really wanted to talk about the learning curve on today because there was a learning curve for me. Right. And some people get really frustrated with the learning curve. I mean, there are people out there that have such little patience that, and first of all, let's understand that there's learning curves, whether you're going from one machine to a new machine. If you've been using the same machine for 3 years and now you buy a new machine, there's a learning curve with that machine. Right? Your hand pressure is going to change. Everything changes. If you're going from inorganic pigments to organic pigments, there's a learning curve.
100%.
If you're going from organics to inorganic, learning curve. Okay. So I think for a lot of people, there is going to be a little learning curve in sharpening their pencil with the pendulum. I experienced that even after watching your video. But
short video now. There's like a more in depth.
Yes. Well,
33-minute long tutorial now.
Well, what I was doing wrong, I was doing it. Me and Kat were doing it, and it wasn't sharpening for me. So I sent you a video because I watched you do it, and I'm like, God dang it. She's getting it. So I know I'm doing something wrong.
Takes you like 2 seconds.
Yeah. And I'm like, and then I go to do it and I'm like, it's not sharpening. Okay. I know I'm doing something wrong.
And it was just a matter of taking off more paper.
Yes. I didn't have enough of the pencil wax exposed. And so when I went on, and so you hadn't really honed in on that detail on your tutorial.
First one, yeah.
I didn't really see that. Like, okay, I have to make sure that I've got about 2 millimeters?
2 centimeters. So it's
2
like
centimeters.
It's a bit more than like you can't have less than 3/4 of an inch, basically.
Right. So that's what I was doing wrong. That I didn't have enough pencil wax exposed. And so you and I together sending videos back and forth, you added that detail on your tutorial. So if people,
get the ruler out, measure it, that sort of thing.
Well, that's what I did. I got my little measure tape, that measures fabric. So you explained it to me and I measured it and I went in and I did it and it worked perfect. And I was so excited. So what I want people to key in on what I'm saying is I didn't get frustrated and I didn't give up. I knew there was something I wasn't doing quite correctly.
And sometimes you can't see it yourself. So
And
it's good to send it.
Yeah, I did. I made a little video and I sent it to you. And immediately you knew what
It
I
was
was.
just a simple little tweak.
It was a little
So you-
tweak. Well, it's like me with machines. I sell machines and artists will get the machine and they'll say, well, it doesn't work. And I'll like, well, send me a little video. And they'll send me a video and I can see right away what they're not doing, or what they are doing to cause the problem. And then we fix it. So what I would encourage people is there is a little learning curve, but not for all. Some people are going to get this in their head. Yeah. So
some people think differently and they just get it.
Exactly. I think probably most people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people, when they get this is what we're hearing. Most people, because I've been pretty transparent that, I struggled at first and then I just didn't have enough wax. And then now it's like a whip for me. I'm really good at it. But most people are going to have no learning curve and they're going to get that perfect fine point wedge right away. And then there'll be a few people like me that have a little bit of a learning curve, and then they'll get over that learning curve, and then they'll be so happy. But there's always people out there, not sure if you're learning this or not, if you've experienced this or not, that they try something, it doesn't work quite as they expected. Immediately they're frustrated. Immediately they email you and it's, it's not always friendly. And then now you have to address it. So that happens once in a great while. Most people are patient, I find, dealing with customer service. But every now and then you get someone who's really super impatient, they're frustrated easy, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Have you run into that?
As a permanent makeup artist, you can't really afford to be like that. Like you do have to. I think that's one thing that permanent makeup's taught me is to be patient.
To be patient.
And I think you definitely have to approach permanent makeup with that more analytical mind. Like you need to want to figure things out. Figure what works, what needle works best with this skin, and what pigment I need to use with that skin. Like you got to become a master of your craft.
Yeah, you have to be a sponge, and you have to want to learn. You have to want to want to learn. I was just talking about this with someone like there's some artists that just want answers. They want everything to work really, really quick, or they're not happy with it. They don't want it.
That's a as well, which is, I think it's so important to watch the tutorial because it's a tool. Like it's not an automatic sharpener or the same kind of sharpener that you've used since you were 5 years old. It's a completely new tool. There is a bit of a learning curve. Watch the tutorial. And then if you're still struggling, just reach out. I'll jump on a video call. Like I'm there to help artists because I made this to help permanent makeup artists. So if you need more help, I'm there. Jump on a call.
I think the video tutorial is really, really good. It's very simple. It's one of a couple of things. If they don't get that perfect wedge their first couple of tries, either they don't have enough pencil wax, the pencil's hitting the bottom, they're going too hard, too close to the bottom, or their angle's wrong. It's just a couple of.
It is literally just a few things. Like you just need to hold it like this in front of you, steady hand. Don't tilt the pencil. Have enough paper out. Push it down far enough. Yeah, you don't want it bang the bottom.
Bang in the bottom,
Push it down
right?
Far enough. Watch it as you're going. Just as soon as the very tip of the pencil is coming through the blades, just take that a bit slow and be careful not to jolt your pencil.
Yeah,
really, that's it.
It's like I said, simple. Yeah, like I said, most people are going to get it right away and be like, what do you mean, Teryn? You couldn't get it the first time, but I tell people it's kind of like, if you put it in too far, it's like putting your needle in your pigment cap and hitting the bottom of your pigment cap. Same thing with the pencil wax. If you go in too far and you hit the bottom, you kind of flatten a little bit rather than getting a sharp point. But the tweaks are very, very easily adjusted. So I think
the thing is the pencils because they vary so much.
Okay, so let's talk about, first let me say, I think you made a product that is easily learned. It is. It's not it was complicated to make on your end. Thank you for suffering those 4 years and sticking with it. But you put out a product that's easily learned. The learning curve is, if there is one for some, it's short with a couple of easy tweaks. So
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think you keeping that in mind and keeping it easy for artists was brilliant on your part. Okay, what were we going to talk about? We got a little off track.
Pencils?
Oh, your pencils. Okay. So with the pencils, you do have your own pencils called Definitube. So some people may ask, why did you not make the Pendulum to fit all the pencils we can buy off Amazon? And I think a lot of people don't understand all the variables when you're talking about the China pencils, the China markers, right?
Yeah.
You're talking diameter size of pencils, like diameter size of a needle. There's so many different diameter sizes, like the hole. I mean, how can you make a hole to fit all those diameter sizes? It would be impossible.
And especially because you have to hold the pencil like really straight in that grip.
Yeah, you exactly.
I couldn't just make one hole. So, but it comes with 2 sizes, so you can sharpen the thinner pencils and you can sharpen the thicker pencils.
Yes.
Then you even have pencils that are like thicker or thinner at the core.
Right.
And all the textures are different. Some are really creamy, some are really hard, some are creamy, some are chalky. There's such a wide variety of them. So I knew I had to have pencils available that I knew worked with the Pendulum, so that if someone was using a pencil that didn't work with it, I could say, well, okay, this will. So, get this. But I tested these. These are all custom made too, because they had to not just work well with the Pendulum, but they had to do a good job of drawing on skin.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm a sucker for I have to have a very, very thin, crisp line. I have to.
Right. So that was
you have to do that.
That's the second part of the Pendulum, was creating the pencil. Because I understand why you had to create a pencil. You had to create a pencil that you knew 100% worked perfectly with the Pendulum. Because like we just talked about on Amazon, a lot of artists, get their pencils off Amazon, but they come in all different diameter sizes. And I didn't know that the pencil itself, the wax, can be really super hard and rigid, all the way to super soft and creamy where it breaks really easy. So it's not even in the realm of practicality that you could make the Pendulum to work with all the different, there's got to be hundreds of different of China markers out there. That's not even in the realm of reality.
No. Yeah.
Right.
Unless I can make multiple versions of
unless you came out with, I was just going to say that, unless you had maybe 30, 40 different pendulums with different holes, different cages, the springs, but because you have a spring that's a little bit softer,
harder, got the 2. So I tried to be as inclusive as I can
and accommodating. Which you didn't have to be.
No.
So I compliment you on that. You didn't have to be, Katri. You could have made this to only work with just to work with your pencils, but that's not the way you thought. You thought outside of that, and you wanted to be as accommodating and inclusive as reasonably possible.
Yeah.
And I think you did a fantastic job of doing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
A fantastic job of doing that. So your pencils are fantastic. So I know that you've got you've got the brown.
The black and the brown out.
You get the brown.
You've got black too.
Yes.
You've got black too.
Yeah.
And the red and the white are on the way. But I'm going to be adding pencils. So I've even got the brown pencil that's out at the moment is a softer, creamier pencil. And I mean, even that, like, if you're in they're just, a wax and like a makeup. So if you're in like a really hot, like kind of tropical climate, you will find that probably they need to be put in the fridge. They're too soft.
Like Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it's like hot 24/7.
Yeah. And
they get a chance to kind of like harden up, and you can pop them in. I have a friend in Queensland here in Australia where it's really hot there most of the time, and she pops them in the fridge. Loves it in the fridge. But not in the fridge, it's too soft for her. But I have a harder brown pencil coming out. So yeah, I'll keep going with the pencils and bringing out different types. I'm really happy with the white and the red because I haven't had a white that pigments that well before.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually pigments really well. It is quite soft, so you have to be a little careful with it using the Pendulum. But yeah, any harder, it just did not pigment well on the skin. Right. So I love the white, and I've got the red coming out, which I really like to use for lips because I can sometimes put just concealer, but I really feel like when I've got the red line there, or I fill in the lips, my shapes and the precision of my work is so much better. So I love the red pencil for lips for that. I don't do hair strokes, but I know a lot of people out there use the red for hair strokes.
Oh, really? For hair strokes?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, probably so they can see. Yeah, because when I'm designing for black eyeliner, I use red.
Wow, do you?
Oh, 100%. 100%. My whole career. Because if I use black, my black pigment, my black ink or pigment, I can't, it's, yeah, like, I just like the red. The red stands out. The red helps me nail my design when I'm outlining and want to stay within the line. I like the red.
That's cool.
Yeah. So so I'll definitely so I can't wait for the red.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a red person because I draw and map out my eyeliner, especially when I'm doing like thicker eyeliner or especially wings, outer corners. I draw them in, because you want to make sure they're symmetrical. If I'm just doing a basic eyeliner.
Do you, that's what I was going to ask. Do you do a pre-draw for like a lash line?
No.
Yeah.
No. And the only time I do a pre-draw is if I'm doing a thicker eyeliner and I'm doing any kind of precision corners, whether it's it's a little corner, like a little wedge or a baby wing or a bigger wing. Yeah, because your symmetry has got to be like perfect. But if I'm just doing a basic eyeliner, medium width eyeliner, the ends are just kind of ending like an ombre brow, like there's no precise corner, I don't draw anything. I just freehand it. But the minute I have to do a precision corner or something a little bit thicker than medium, because I do a lot of mediums and I don't draw those in. I'll do a lot of mediums with just a soft blended outer edge. And, that's easy for me to freehand. But the minute I get into, corners, wedges, something a little bit thicker, no, I'm drawing those suckers on. I don't want to take no chances. And I like red. Yeah, I use red 100%. Yeah. So, all right. So you thought it'd be out in a year, it took you 4 years. And I'm sure that you had this much budgeted out. And it took this much, right? I mean, right? I'm going to keep going. Like, I can't even spread my arms long enough. How much?
That's when you realize how much it's cost.
It's cost.
The next part.
It's cost. Yeah. Right. So, so the Pendulum. So, you can definitely get it on the Girls Next Door. We have it. They're moving really, really good, and they're $99.99. $99.99. We have had no pushback on the price at all. We have not. And I maybe it's the Instagram Live. We talked about, a lot of things. Have you had any?
Yeah.
Have you had any pushback on the 99? Because some people, like you said, we talked about, might see, well, it's just a sharpener. Well, no, it's not. It's way beyond that. And it was 4 years in the making, and it's an invention.
I compare it to a regular sharpener.
Yeah. So so personally, so far, like with Girls Inc., we just have had no pushback, nothing on the price. People are buying them. Have you personally, as the owner of the Pendulum, have you had anybody like, wow, $99.99, that's a little high?
Yeah, even more nasty than that.
Nasty? Really?
Yeah, quite nasty. I mean, anybody
Quite nasty. No, I just want to repeat that. Quite nasty.
Yeah. They forget that there's a person behind it. And, I'm certainly not out here to kind of rip people off. Like, it's proportionate to what it costs to make. And, I'm making small orders. I'm not a big company who can order, tens of thousands at a time. So, there's a cost involved in that.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like I can, like I said before, I can't just go to China where there's already molds for this and just like pick one out and cost me a couple of dollars and selling it for whatever.
Well, yeah, because I think that's what people need to understand, Katri. There wasn't an existing mold for this. Nothing that makes up the Pendulum existed.
Yeah.
You had to start from scratch and find an engineer or an inventor to help make a 3D product, then make the molds, then make the springs, so you had to create it from scratch, and that is a lot of money. And well, first of all, let me say, if someone doesn't like the price point, move on. Don't buy it. I don't understand. Yeah, it's like, come on, we're all permanent makeup artists. We're in this big, beautiful community together. We should support each other. Like I said, you're out there creating a product that didn't exist, and generating sales for a new product that didn't exist, Katri.
Marketing, like you don't do that for free.
No, especially nowadays, marketing costs a lot of money, and you don't even get the ROI on marketing that you used to get, even 3, 4, 5 years ago. So marketing is super expensive. The cost is expensive. And am I correct? And I would say, look, I'm holding it. And I think I already said this, but I'm going to say it again. This is not cheap plastic. It's not thin. It doesn't feel flimsy. It's really strong and really rugged and feels really solid. I can tell that you used high quality, you made it very high quality. I can tell that was number one for you. Like you can just feel it when you put it in your hands, that it's like when you put a machine in your hand. Like I instantly can feel if that machine is of high quality or if it's not. Do you know?
And I think as a permanent makeup artist, like if you're serious about being a permanent makeup artist, you should be trying to like kit yourself out with quality tools.
Quality tools, yeah.
Trying to get a cheap machine that someone slapped their logo on.
No.
It's never going to be the machine that like you've thought out, that an artist has made, put a lot of thought into, tested and got it made, in a really good quality manufacturer, like with a Japanese motor made in.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. And so I think the 99 price point is right on the money. It's because it's quality, right? You're paying for the quality, but you're also paying for the convenience. Right. Time is money, and time is money. And I think a lot of people, it takes them a long time to sharpen with the razor blade. There's a lot of people out there that hate the razor blade. So even if they feel at first, ooh, $99, I would say just go ahead and splurge. Once you get it, and you feel it, and you just start sharpening your pencils with it. See what it can do. It is 99.
I haven't had people who've tried it, like have held it and used it. They're like, I would pay twice as much for this.
It's the people that have never used it that are probably making the nasty comments. They've never used it. Exactly. But there's always going to be that person, right? There's always going to be that person.
And maybe it's not up for them, and that's fine.
Oh yeah. There's this song, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. I could sing it, but I'm not a good singer, but there is, do you know that song?
No, I don't.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to play it for you one day. But you look it up on Spotify. You can please everyone, but you can't please yourself. No, you can't please everyone, so you gotta please yourself. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, it's a great song. So you pleased yourself, and I think you, once I get it, you will please 99% of the people that purchase it. There's always going to be that one, that is never pleased. We can do nothing to help them.
I'm sure we've all had those customers too as permanent makeup artists,
Well, you got clients like that, right? You got clients like that. You're never going to please them. You did the most beautiful eyebrow. You did. Everybody that looks at it thinks it's beautiful, but it's just something with them. Like they're just not pleasable. I don't know. But, I want to reiterate that there's just no reason to be nasty. I'm really sorry that you've gotten a nasty comment or two. That sucks. I think it's immature, and I think it's just not cool. It's just not cool. I don't know why people have to stop what they're doing and take time out of their life to write something nasty when they could just go flip and go right past it.
Move on.
Yeah. I just go flip, and I'm happy. I'm still happy. Nothing, right? I don't understand that person. I don't know. But anyway, don't ever let that bother you. You're a new entrepreneur. This is your first product. You're coming out with pencils. So my advice to you is don't take it personal, but you will, because it's your baby. And 10 years from now, I see you with other products, and you'll take it as personally then as you do now. It never goes away, Katri. I wish I could tell. I wish I could tell you.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say I could move on. I would get stronger.
No, you won't.
It won't affect me.
You won't. No. Us entrepreneurs, we're sensitive. We're sensitive beings. Do you know? Yeah. Maybe.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, take the opportunity, maybe be a little bit cheeky and get a little bit of advice from you, maybe.
You can ask me anything you want.
You've put some really cool products out. You've done the whole thing. What has been your biggest learning curve, your biggest takeaway from the products that you've produced so far? What has been the biggest thing you've learned? And is there something and you've got a couple of more products coming out very soon. Yeah. So on your next project, is there something that you would do differently based on your experience?
Boy, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let me think about that. I want to give a good answer. I don't think there would be anything I would change about the heart, the reason I did that product, the passion, the quality. I've always been, from the very first product and to the product that's coming out in a few weeks, I've always done it very thoughtfully, responsibly. I've always done it authentically. I don't overpromise with my products. I don't like market in a way, like in a manner that the artist wants to hear. Like I don't overpromise. Like I'm very authentic with what this product can do and what it may not do. I don't overpromise. I think some people are putting out products and promising results and promising things that maybe aren't always realistic because it's going to help with sales. So I don't think I would change anything that way. But what I have learned is how to roll it out. I think I've gotten a lot better with the way I roll it out, the marketing end of it.
Yeah.
The marketing end of it. I've had to learn to stay patient. Like I've talked about Blonde Shell taking 16 edits, to get Blonde Shell just right. I've had, I've had products where I wanted to quit, felt like wanting to quit because it just wasn't coming out, but I didn't. So I have learned to stay with it. If you believe in it, stay with it. Do it from the heart. You've done all that. I think it's the marketing end. I wasn't always good at the way I launched it, the launching process. I wasn't always really good at that. So I think that's where I've come a long ways, and I've kind of learned and gotten good at. And what I'll say, that's always changing. It's changing too. It's like what the launch that worked with products maybe 3 years ago, nowadays you have to launch it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So it's always been the launching, the rollout.
Which is so important too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's such an important part. And I had a whole planned out launch for this product, and it totally went by the wayside. I had talking about being a perfectionist, I ended up stalling the launch and completely ruining all my plans because I got so micro analyzing, and at the last minute I was like, no, I want to test some more springs. I want to test some more strengths. Maybe it's not quite the right spring that I'm sending out with this. Right. And so I got more springs custom made in different sizes, and my husband and the head engineer's like, you're nuts.
Right.
Literally
right
now. And I tested them. It took another 3 weeks or 4 weeks and cost me more money. And I tested them and everything, and I was right. And then I got other people to test it, and they're like, no, the perfect one is that one. And it's the one that was already going out. And I just did all of that for nothing.
Yeah.
But I was sure. So, it made me feel more confident.
Well, you have to be it's either got to be a hell yes or hell no, right? There's no in between when you're putting out a product. In my opinion, for me personally, it's either hell yes or it's hell no. And there's no middle. So you had to wait until you came to that hell yes, even if it cost you a little more time or, whatever, or, but, a lot of people really don't know marketing. They may have come up with a really great product or, great class, and they really don't understand marketing. Me and Olivia and my team, Olivia is my lead marketer. She works, with Sarah, and marketing's hard, wouldn't you say, Olivia? Yeah, you're constantly having to, you want a nice professional, sophisticated, organized launch to complement the sophisticated, beautiful product you spent 4 years on. I thought your launch was great. I thought it was fantastic. Our pre-order, our launch went great. I think your launch went great. I see all the great reviews and everybody going crazy. So even if the launch didn't go quite as you planned, it was a professional launch, a great launch. I think it complemented this beautiful piece of toolery that you made. And you did great, Katri. I'm proud of you. So I got one last question for you. Do you see yourself, do you see yourself launching more products? Are you already, I know you got more pencils, but sharpener, pencils aside, is your mind going?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Back when I started this, I already had another 10 products that I wanted to make.
Good girl.
But this took everything.
Yeah.
This took everything.
Yeah.
And I think this is most important, but I have so many ideas. I can't help myself.
No. So can I give you one piece of advice?
Yes,
So,
please.
okay, I may have given you a couple is don't start building on like your top line until you've really built a strong bottom line.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. Like some people come out with something, it's successful, and they want to go straight to the other one without really building that strong bottom line. So you have a solid foundation. You know, some people want, they want to go to and I tell artists that, you know, start with the fundamentals, you know, start slow, really build that bottom foundation first before building that, going straight up and building the top line. You know, you're missing the whole middle. So
I definitely see the importance in that. I think I am definitely someone, I don't get shy. Like I have a lot of dreams. I can't stop the creative process, the creative thoughts, but I do see a product through, like not a product, but a project. Like I have to see things through. So I think that kind of a trait will serve me well with what the advice that you just gave.
Good. That's a mistake I have made. I've moved too fast before. Yeah. And then in some cases I've moved too slow. So there's that balance, right? There's finding that balance. All right, Katri, I've kept you on here long enough. I want to thank you for getting up early and talking with me about the pendulum. So, So
thank you so much for your support. It's been amazing. I feel so honored that you've taken it on board and that you love the product. Even just that is just such a huge compliment. So
I really do love it. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, I really do love this product. And I knew. You just know. I think Lori on Shark Tank she has a little saying that she says, doesn't she? What's that little saying she says? Something about a winner. A hero. So there's just a little saying that she says. She knows a hero from a zero.
Oh yeah.
I think Lori said that on Shark Tank, right? We're both Shark Tank fans. I knew this was a hero.
I love that.
I'm citing Lori on Shark Tank. Yeah. No, seriously. In all seriousness, I love it. And the feedback's been phenomenal. I expected it as you did. And I can't wait for, so many more artists to get this in their hands. And and throw away that razor blade in their sharps container.
Yeah.
For good.
It goes in the sharps container always.
The sharps container. All right, Katri, I'm going to say goodbye to my viewers. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you, Teryn. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Everyone.
All right, you guys, thanks for hanging in with us. And Katri on the pendulum, we will put in the comments the link on where to purchase the pendulum and to watch her tutorial on how to use the pendulum. We'll give you all that information in the comments. Until next time, stay in pursuit of happiness.